Hello, hi everyone. Good evening. So we'll just wait for a couple of minutes. Let's say a minute or two, and then we'll start the session. So we'll do the session in the format where first we'll discuss, as you can see on the thumbnail, how do you get uh, to level at SD3 at FANG, or what it takes for you to become an SD3 or an SD2 at FANG, and then we'll have a short AMA, ask me anything, where you can post your custom queries and then I'll be able to answer them. We'll wait for one more minute. It's a Friday night, no one wants to join. Everyone is busy, mostly partying. I think Sunday nights are better suited for it because you have the stress for the next day, which is a Monday, and you are mostly at your home. But Fridays, I think most people tend to relax on their weekends, and it's the start of the weekend. No one is motivated to do extra things apart from work on a Friday night. Okay, yeah, I think we can start. So we're going to first discuss about what it takes to become an SD3 at MAANG, and then we will have an Ask Me Anything sessions. So in the AMA session, we will be taking on custom queries of different people who are into engineering, and the queries can be around anything. It can be around interview preparation. It can be around career growth and anything. Yeah. So, what it takes to become an SD3 at MAANG. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is you should have the correct macroeconomic trends. I mean, the economy should be allowing you to enter in such a space. The companies should be hiring, and all the top tech companies beyond MAANG and MAANG should definitely be hiring. The Nasdaq index, the stock market index of the US, which is Nasdaq, which is a representative of the overall tech, should be at a decent high or at a decent peak, and there should be a lot of money flowing into tech through the VC ecosystem from the Silicon Valley. So if the macroeconomic conditions are right, then these tech companies tend to hire a lot of engineers, and most of the SD3s are lateral hires. And I mean, obviously there are internal promotions, but there are a lot of lateral hires. So for you to enter at an SD3 or an L4 level at Google, or SD2 at Amazon, which is an L5 level, or an E4 level at Facebook, which is again an SD2 level at Facebook. So, if for you to enter these certain levels at all of these MANG companies, the MANG companies should be hiring, and the macroeconomic trends should be on a positive growth cycle, and not on a decent, not on a decent. They should be on the ascent. So right now the markets were at a pretty low, and they were at a decent, but now the markets are picking up quarter by quarter. Each quarter there's a positive anticipation of them hiring in the US and in India, especially in India. So we see a lot of trend that a lot of jobs from the US are now shifting to India, and a lot of services and a lot of teams are being set up in India for all the top tech companies, because India is a low cost center and US is a high cost center in terms of currency, in terms of purchasing power, in terms of access to labor, and in terms of all of the metrics from a perspective of a capitalistic company. So that's why a lot of trend. Hiring trend you would see in India, especially from the big tech. So Meta is not in India yet. So to get into Meta, the closest entry point is London. So you can apply at the website to their London office, and I think you will be able to get an interview if you have a decent profile, or you can apply through referrals. Rest all of these companies are in India, so Indian trends do matter. For Meta, you have to follow the European trends. Yeah. So once the macroeconomic trends are right, and it's a good time to enter the market, and competitive salaries are being offered. The second parameter that you need is luck. So we'll talk about interview preparation obviously at the end, because that is the most meaningful and the most elaborative part. But let's talk about some of the things that are not in your hand. So first is macroeconomic trend. It's not in your hand. Second thing is luck. So you can fabricate luck by putting yourself at the right position at the right time, having a certain set of experience with the right set of companies, and having right set of projects on your resume, a decent college, and all the things that are in your control. So that's how you can fabricate your luck. And you can fabricate your luck by the law of large numbers, basically applying to a lot of top tech companies and assuming that one of them would shortlist you. So the more you apply, the more probability you have of getting shortlisted. So it's as simple as that. So just don't narrow your scope to only 4 to 5 companies. Keep your scope open, and keep room for error. Not Out of these 5 companies, you might not be lucky enough to get a call from even a single one of them. So apply to as many top tech, good quality companies as possible, even at startups. So because startups are also very good in terms of monetary growth and in terms of tech growth and learning growth. So feel free to apply at more companies, so that the law of larger numbers favors you. Make sure that you have decent amount of experience when you're applying at an L4 level or an SD3 level or an L5 level, which is an SD2 level at Amazon. So to clear up all of these levels, so these levels are acronyms and a lot of companies use different sort of levels. Amazon uses L1, L2, L3 till L10, L13. Google also uses the L ladder. Facebook uses the E ladder. Microsoft has something different, which is L59, 60, 61. I don't understand why they have this sort of ladder. So you can check out levels.fyi. So levels.fyi will give you a comparative study on what is an equivalent level L4 of Google from an what is the equivalent Amazon level of an L4 Google, and vice versa. So just check out the levels and see where you stand. So the let's talk about the junior level, the mid senior level, and the senior level. Junior level is mostly your SD1s. Mid senior level is mostly your SD2s and SD3s, and senior level is your senior ICs, staff ICs, so staff engineers. So a top tech company for a mid senior level requires you to have a minimum of 2 years of experience. So more the merrier. So I mean, if you have more experience, that means you would bring up more maturity on the table. You would have more experience. You would have delivered more projects. You would have seen more difficult times. You would have dealt with more negotiations with people, and you would have worked on a broader set of technologies. So that's when uh, your probability of getting into a company increases. So if you're lucky enough, I mean, you can directly get into Google at an SD3 level, or which is an L4 level, with 2 years of experience. Same at Amazon SD2, you can get at 2 years of work experience if you're lucky enough. So if everything on your profile is very solid, then 2 years of work experience is more than enough. But if, let's say, you your profile is not that solid, then they might down level you. Or let's say you have 6 to 7 years of work experience, but they would still down level you to an SD2 level. So it's all bespoke, it's all very custom to your resume. It all depends on your previous pedigree and the previous set of companies and projects that you have worked for. So now, after the luck part, now is how do we position ourselves. So the positioning can only be done with the right set of work experience. Let's say you are at um, you were it's only been 1 year that you have entered an industry, and you are working at a top tech product company. You can't directly switch to an SD3. So if you are at a top tech company, you would at least need 2 to 3 years of work experience. If you are at a tier 3 company, which is not so great, and which is not making you stretch your brains, which is not putting a lot of good quality projects on your resume, it would take you fairly longer. And the you get the confidence from within. So the response, let's reverse engineer this position. Let's discuss the job responsibilities of an L4 or an SD2 at Amazon, and then let's see how we will try to aim to come to that position. So all of these mid senior level positions, they require you to be independent in delivering projects. They require you to uh, take the least amount of help and deliver the most amount of value. And they want you to lead things independently, own things independently, whether it is a service or it is a small component of a very big project. And generally, the projects are multi-quarter. I mean, the initiatives that you work on are going to span for a bigger time horizon. They're not going to be 1 week project, 2 weeks project, 3 weeks projects, and they will have some long-term perceived value. So depending on what you're working on, whether you're working on testing or infrastructure, or you're working on a new product launch, new service launch, whatever, so it should have some long term perceived value. And then after you know how to own things and how to deliver value within a certain time horizon, and how to run these initiatives for multiple months and months independently, and then you qualify as a very good quality mid senior engineer, which is an SD2 or an SD3 at Google, L4 at Google, or L5 at Amazon, E4 at Facebook, whatever. So yeah, uh, so most of these levels require you to have that maturity where you can own independent components, where you can own independent projects. You can also mentor the juniors, so you can mentor all the new grads that join in. You have, because you have a decent amount of maturity on the large scale systems that you're working on, you can mentor the junior level people to move forward in their career. You can invest in them, to coach them, to mentor them, with respect to writing design documents, with respect to writing good quality code. And now there's one more component apart from mentorship. You need to be able to solve ambiguous problems. So the problems that you will get at Amazon or at equivalent companies, they would not be fully disambiguated. That means the problem will have certain unknowns. As a mid senior engineer and as the owner of that problem, you need to think about multiple solutions, and you need to discuss it with your lead. You need to discuss it with other stakeholders, and then come up with a deterministic path. You have to be evaluative in nature whether this problem can be solved or not. And if this problem can be solved, this is one of the way. And this is another way to disambiguate some of the unknowns. Let's say there are 10 unknowns. You sit with the senior engineer, you think about all the unknowns, and you give a possible deterministic path to solve that problem. And then you come up with a good quality design, whether it is written independently or it can be written collaboratively with the senior engineer or with other partners, and then you deliver the project independently. So this is a, this is a good quality ownership that is expected from a mid senior or an L5 equivalent at Amazon, or an L4 equivalent at Google, or an E4 equivalent at Meta, I think L62 at Microsoft. So this is the job responsibilities of a mid senior engineer, or an L4 or an SD3 at Google. So now you need to think, when do you get this kind of maturity? So even if you get offered such a position tomorrow, can you can you survive that position? Can you independently lead yourself to success by running on that particular position? And are you comfortable with uncertainties, with unknowns? Are you comfortable with owning projects? Are you comfortable with taking this much of responsibility? Or you still need more coaching as a junior engineer? Or you still need more time to grasp in? Or you still need, some more cushioning? So that is you who will decide. And it's not only about clearing interviews. After the interviews, the real work starts. So it's also about sustaining the job. It's also about performing in the job. It's also about aiming for growth in the job. So don't only think from the perspective of clearing interviews. So these are certain job responsibilities. So you need independence. You need ownership of certain problems, of certain components, and then you need to coach junior engineers. You need to mentor coach those junior engineers. You need to add value in the teammates, and then you need to be able to solve ambiguous problems. And then comes design. So design is generally expected at all of these companies. You need to be able to come up with a systematic design, uh, which describes multiple technical strategies to solve that problem. And your design should have your evaluation. I mean, it should show your maturity that, okay, you have evaluated the problem with multiple dimensions. Let's say with you have evaluated the problem with respect to engineering complexity, with respect to engineering investment, with respect to time investment, and then you have come up with a strategy to solve it, to deliver it. So that is how you think as an SD3 or an SD2 at Amazon. Now we've covered most parts, and let's also cover the coding aspect. So obviously, so as soon as you get into any tech company, you are expected to write code. You are expected to write good quality code, but you are not expected to own components. So here you are still expected to write very good quality code and own components and run initiatives for the team, and probably own certain sub components. If your team is huge, then you own certain sub components and deliver for the team, and also add value to the juniors. So we've covered the coding part, we've covered design part, we've covered solving ambiguous problem, coaching juniors. Yeah, I think these are pretty much it. The job responsibilities of a mid senior engineer, or an SD3 at Google, or an SD2 at Amazon. So these are very huge bands. I mean, you would see people from 2 years of work experience till 10 years of work experience. Uh, you would see them at this level, and the other level is even bigger. So sometimes you would see people with 3 to 3.5 years of work experience till probably 15 years, 16 years, or 18 years of work experience at an L5 level, or let's say an L6 level at Amazon. So as you grow up the engineering ladder, uh, so the time that you spend at that level keeps on increasing. So L3 to L4 gets fast, or let's say SD1 to SD2 is fast, SD2 to SD3 is slow, SD3 to SD4 or a principal or a staff is even slower, and staff to principal or staff to associate director or whatever the next position is even more slower. So that is how the ladder works, and that is how the job responsibilities work. So now, talking about the interview preparation, how do you get in? Let's say your profile was shortlisted. Now you got the interview, and you are going to give the interview. How do you market yourself? How do you position yourself for that interview, and how do you clear the interviews? So the interviews would consider two dimensions, actually three dimensions. First dimension is going to be, you need to be able to solve ambiguous coding problems. They will be evaluating you on that part. Second dimension is going to be design thinking. You need to be able to think out of the box, or even in the box, but you need to be able to think about the systems. You need to be able to think about multiple dimensions of what can go wrong and what can go right with respect to systems. Third dimension is leadership. Do you think win-win? Are you a good teammate? Will you be able to manage conflicts? Will you be able to negotiate with other teams? Will you be able to convince other people to invest in you and in your projects, and deliver for you and deliver with you? So you will be evaluated on these three things at a top tech company. uh, Whatever that company is, you need to cover these three dimensions. First dimension is, you need to be able to be very good at coding, which is your problem solving, algorithms, data structures, competitive programming, whatever you call it. Second thing is, you need to be able to think about systems, large scale systems. You need to be able to think about the high level components, and also the low level implementation. Third thing is leadership. The hiring manager also wants to know, are you a good fit for the team? Will you be able to survive the culture of the company? Are you a good cultural fit? And then, do you think win-win? Will you be able to invest your time in other people to make them win? And will you see your win in investing in other people? And will you be able to convince people to invest their time in you, so that your project can get delivered, so that your project keeps on running, so that you grow? So all of these things, your negotiation skills, your win-win thinking, and your strategy, your communication, your ability to negotiate, and your ability to convince the team, your ability to coach junior engineers, and be a good cultural fit with the team. So these three dimensions you should be targeting while you are preparing for such a position. So coding is straightforward. You know what to do. You know your lead codes. You know your problem solving. You have access to career bootcamp, which is run by Coding Blocks. If you're clueless, just join that. It will cover all the aspects. Now, low level design, I think you also must be aware of low level design. What all should you cover? You should be able to write APIs. You should be able to write the structure of the APIs and how the classes would be designed, how the objects would communicate with each other, what all objects would you create, and what would be the UML diagram? Will you follow solid principles or not? All of that stuff would come in low level design. Then comes high level design. High level design, you think about larger components, you think about scalability, you think about reliability, think about maintenance, engineering investment, and you need to be able to think about whether your service will be able to handle the certain QPS. So all of those major design thinking would come under HLD, which is high level design, where you get introduced to different concepts like scalability, sharding, caching, replication, redundancy, all of that stuff. So once you've covered design, once you've covered coding, then you just, and if you've cleared all these things, then you just need to prepare yourself to um, to be sold as a very good technical communicator, and you have to market yourself as if you are a good cultural fit for their team, and you have to market yourself as if you think a win-win strategy. So these are the aspects, and this is what it takes to get to an SD3 or an L5 at Amazon. So now I think we're mostly done with half the session. The rest, 25 minutes or 20 minutes, we can take questions if anyone has any. We'll wait for a couple of minutes and then we will jump on to the questions. Let people post questions meanwhile. Okay. I think we're not getting much questions. So we've mostly covered all the dimensions of the job responsibilities of an SD3 or an SD2 at Amazon or an E4 at Meta or an L62 at Microsoft. So we've covered the job responsibilities, we've covered the interview preparation, we've covered the market dynamics, we've covered how many years of work experience you need. So and we've covered the maturity level, the ownership level. So I don't think so we're left with any dimension. Okay, so we have one question: how do you ensure your resume will stand out when everyone is possessing some skills? Full stack fresher. So you don't necessarily need to stand out with your resume. It's mostly luck based, and you just need to make sure that you have a decently good resume. A decently good resume means you have most aspects of a generalist engineer. So you know a bit of you know how to solve engineering problems, you know how to solve bit of front end, bit of back end, or either of these two. You know how to pick up new technologies and learn them on the go. You have done certain projects in one or two programming language using one or two more frameworks, probably a DB, probably some sort of cloud. So or and you've experimented with, let's say, machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, some of the APIs libraries, or their statistical or mathematical part. So that is how I mean you can market yourself as a generalist engineer or put up a generalist resume. If you like really want to stand out uh, with your resume, then I think you will need to do a lot of things, and you will need to do a lot of good quality things, like, let's say, having very good internships, having impactful projects that are live, that were solved for a customer. I mean, where let's say the customer was probably a company, or where you did not work on a dummy project, and participating in hackathons that were part of a larger initiative. Let's say you participated in on some Kaggle competition, which had 100,000 $200,000 reward. Let's say you participated in Smart India hackathon. Let's say you participated in some hackathon that was hosted by IBM, where your innovation or your project will become a potential product for IBM. So something like that. So these kind of things can make your resume stand out. So, and obviously being good at the interview evaluation, which is data structures, algorithms, also needs to happen. So to stand out, you need to be able to do a lot of things, and these are some of the things. How important is DSA? DSA is 1000% important. It is the only thing that is helpful for interviews. Yes, it is very important, especially if you're going for tech interviews, and especially if you're going for tech interviews at larger companies, even at startups. It's fairly important. You can't afford to skip it. How many projects on full stack will make a good impact on our profile or portfolios? It's not really about number of projects. Number of projects will definitely show that you have experimented uh, with multiple technologies and you have solved an array of different problems. And I think having 2 to 3 good projects, let's say you can have one around full stack, you can have one around where you are using some sort of infrastructure which is centered around backend, let's say probably using cloud infrastructure. One you can have around machine learning, so or whatever interests you. And if any of the project that you're doing is impactful, let's say if it's an open source contribution, or if it's part of an internship, or if it's part of your own startup, or if it's part of a startup that already exists and you're solving a sub problem for them, that will create impact. Not the number of projects, but the project which had some long term perceived value will create impact. Hey, I have started doing DSA, have done a crash course for 5 weeks. I am a third year. Okay, so just keep on doing DSA. Get very good at DSA, algorithms, problem solving. Get good at. So since you are in third year, you have decent amount of time to explore good theoretical subjects. So if you're passionate about algorithms, just take some advanced courses on algorithms, which will deepen your thinking, because eventually you want to become a very good thinker. And second is, I mean, you can also explore with machine learning. You can also explore with distributed systems. So whatever is more feasible in your college and in your electives. So if machine learning is available, pick up machine learning, learn the statistics and maths behind it, and become a good thinker. And try to be try to do 1 or 2 projects around that. And if it's a live project on Kaggle, then I think nothing better than that. एंड डीएसए तो है ही है, यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू स्किप डीएसए. उसके सिवा आई डोंट थिंक सो यू वुड नीड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. अच्छा, you've done 5 weeks crash course on Stack. Okay, that's nice. So try to build something using that 5 week crash course, so that your knowledge materializes and you can capitalize on that knowledge. You can sell that knowledge after it materializes. So try to build something with that crash course using Stack, so that you can market it. And if you're in third year, if you have time, learn some uh, learn some complex subjects like machine learning, like distributed systems. Try to understand the theory behind different algorithms, mathematical theory, so that it deepens your thinking. And eventually you want to become a very good thinker. If you want to solve engineering problems or any kind of problems, you want to be able to think very clearly and to a certain depth. Okay, I think we don't have more questions. इंटर्नशिप अपॉर्चुनिटी क्या है भैया? इंटर्नशिप अपॉर्चुनिटी क्या है? योर क्वेश्चन इज नॉट क्लियर. आई मीन, हाँ, ट्राई टू गेट इंटर्नशिप्स इफ पॉसिबल. और कब अप्लाई अप्लाई करना चाहिए? व्हेन यू, सो फॉर यू टू बी एबल टू अप्लाई for internships, you should have permissions and NOC from college. So some colleges let you apply for 6 month internship. Some colleges only let you apply for summer intern and winter intern, which is a 2 month internship. So as and when it is possible for you to go out for internship, apply 6 months before that. So let's say you want to do an intern in December, January, start applying right now. If you want to do internship in the next course, in the next June, July, then you can start applying in November, December. And if you want to do internship for the whole semester, let's say January till July, June next January 25 to, let's say, May, June 25, then you start applying right now. And Right now the market is not that hot for internship. It's super competitive, but yeah, uh, you should anyways leverage it. If you're in third year, you should definitely consider applying for internships, and you should also consider preparing for placements while learning one or two good theoretical subjects, because it's the ending of your college, and you also need to leverage the best things at college. कब अप्लाई करना चाहिए? नेक्स्ट ईयर प्लेसमेंट आ जाएगा। नेक्स्ट ईयर प्लेसमेंट आ जाएगा तो प्लेसमेंट से पहले कोशिश करो एक इंटर्न मिल जाए, और अगर गलती से वो इंटर्न फुल टाइम कन्वर्ट हो गया तो नथिंग बेटर देन दैट। अब आपके पास टाइम सिर्फ दिसंबर और जनवरी का ही बचा है, तो अब अप्लाई करो दिसंबर जनवरी के लिए। और अगर नेक्स्ट पूरा सेमेस्टर आप इंटर्नशिप कर सकते हो, लेट्स से यू आर अलाउड टू डू इंटर्नशिप फॉर द होल सेमेस्टर स्टार्टिंग जनवरी टिल जून, देन अप्लाई राइट नाउ फॉर 6 months intern. Okay, let's see if we have more questions. Okay, then I think we can end the session. We don't have more questions and we've covered the topic. Thank you so much for joining. See you next week.